We all like to talk about success, but we struggle sometimes defining how we get there, identifying our vision, our values, our habits that are going to bring us to success. We want to talk about the will, the skill, and the chill that lead to success.
It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right? Success is not guaranteed, but you can pursue it. There's especially in this digital age, there's very few barriers to you pursuing whatever your definition of success is. But do you have the will? Do you have the skill? And then, perhaps most importantly, do you have the chill? We talked about this in an article titled Learning from Behavioral Support, with the idea of learning how other professionals in other industries apply their will, chill, and skill to their daily work, and how we can learn from that and apply it to our own leadership development and cultures. And Jeff Cross with ISSA, which is the publishing outlet for Clean Facts and Cleaning and Maintenance Management magazines, shared that on LinkedIn, and you can also find that on our website. But in that principle with behavioral support, which is professionals in the schools that help kids that need an extra hand to find ways to succeed. In that world, there's positive behavior intervention and support. So this applies to people that need a little more support than what you might call the average student, or maybe there's things going on that are inhibiting their ability to learn or interact with others. So a lot like working with people in a business setting. We know that you have to have some level of individuality in your approach to
Recruiting, developing, and retaining good talent, right?
And some people, for lack of a better term, are easier to train than others. And others, we've got to find ways to communicate with them in ways that they can understand the material and thrive in our environment and our organizations. And too often we expect, well, so-and-so learned it this way and they're doing fine, so what's wrong with you? Whereas, we have to adapt to the changes in the culture and the way people learn in individuals.
Humanize your process.
Right? So in that PBIS, the positive behavior intervention and support, and again, the idea is support. How do we support these people to succeed and thrive? So we have a win-win. Our organization is growing and our people are growing. Tier 1 would be for all. They're universal supports that are applied to everyone. It's kind of our baseline expectations and how we deal with things, right? So this is what we expect in our vision as an organization, the habits that will make you successful, and this is how we're going to support you in that. Tier 2 is for some. There are some people who need some additional support in order to succeed and thrive in our organization. And so what are our mechanisms to help those people to retain the information and develop the skills that are needed, and to be able to have the chill to apply them in chaotic situations. Tier 3 is for the few. It's a lot more intensive. In a business setting, this might be what we would call like a disciplinary setting. So there's a plan of improvement, right, where these things need to be met and improved upon in this period of time, or else we go into the next step, and that could include termination. So, the thing to think about is we invest so much in recruiting and developing people. That churn of every 90 days we're losing so many people, or every year we're losing so many people, is very costly. And we talk about that in another video, recruiting and retaining good talent. And that's so critical, especially in areas where unemployment is low, or even the $15 an hour rate. That's making people think a lot about,
well, do I want to do this for $15 an hour or do this for $15 an hour?
Have a compelling story and really think about, if I've got people here and we've invested in them, how do we keep them? So this idea of tiers of support, I believe, is important and very applicable to work settings. Before we just release somebody and
say, well, get on out,
how do we find out, is it an ability to understand the information we're trying to share them and we need to better communicate that, or is it more of an effort issue And even in the effort, is it effort because they're not engaged or they don't feel involved, or just flat out they're not a good fit and they're not a hardworking person, and this isn't the environment for them? And if that's the case, then obviously you've got to move on. But before you just jump to that escalation, look at the tiers of support. How do we support these people to thrive? I'm actually going to go out of sync. Skill, in that sense, that tier sets up a way that we structure our organization and our managers to succeed in leading people that we bring into the organization. And it's very important that what we're recruiting aligns with what we want, that aligns with how we manage. And everything from onboarding to our intentional development process to how we promote others, that we need to, as leaders, review, is that in alignment to where what we're telling people when we're recruiting them is consistent with what we're doing once they're in our organization. If there's inconsistencies, it's going to be difficult to retain good talent, right? People want opportunities to grow. So structure at the management and the organizational level is very important. That's a part of skill. You need to be skilled in attracting and retaining the right people. The next part is the will to succeed. And again, you can break this down to your people, right? And how you develop a training program, how you incentivize them and whatnot. But we're more talking at the manager, leadership, organizational level. So the will to succeed, we get into business, we get into management, we want to succeed, right? If you're familiar at all with the Packers, when the NFL became what it is, at the initial stages, the Packers were just dominating, won a series of Super Bowls. And Vince Lombardi is a name that probably most people, even not familiar with sports, recognize. So he coached those early Packers teams and was regarded as one of the best coaches. The Super Bowl trophy that's received is the Vince Lombardi trophy. So he's iconic in NFL circles and coaching circles. But he has a great quote. He said, "The will to win is not nearly so important as the will to prepare to win." And that's, how many people do you come across that,
yeah, I want to win, I want to succeed, I want to grow.
At a leadership management level, right? That's us sitting together and just going through and reviewing. And that can be fairly quick, or it might be a long process. But is our hiring in alignment with our vision, values, and habits? Is our onboarding, our development process, are we providing opportunities for people that have earned it to grow and develop, so that they stay? So you want to succeed as an organization or as a manager, but, is your structure set up to develop those skills? Another point on that is a lot of people are promoted into management and they're just not ready. Maybe they're proficient in what they did in the field, but they don't know how to interact with people or succeed with people, and that's a much different skill set, right? So developing a system that helps people manage appropriately in alignment,
again, with your vision, values, and habits.
And then that will to succeed. Well, we promote these managers and they fail. We develop these people and they keep leaving. Those should be symptoms that tell you, hey, we need to be more intentional. In preparing to win, right? Not just saying we want to win, but obviously something is missing that we need to tweak. And it may be a real simple tweak, and it may be pretty complex. You may have to do some deconstruction before you can, our property management friends will know, when you're chasing down an odor, right? It's a process of elimination sometimes, trying to figure out what that source is, and you got to do that with your business too.
Where is the stink coming from
that we need to get rid of? And if you don't recognize that it's a stink, then you've got even bigger problems, right? If you can't see, that there's some stink in your organization or aren't willing to admit it, then you've got problems. The final piece of that, so you have a will to succeed. You're preparing yourselves, you're reviewing your process, you're developing skills, both for technical skills for people in the field, as well as managerial, soft skills, emotional intelligence. Those kinds of things are very important. I believe people is the battle. As unemployment continues to be at lows, and companies in service-based industries are competing for talent. And I hear this from, friends that are in automotive repair, construction, retail, food services, property restoration, anywhere where people are still needed and necessary. Technology is going to change a lot of the way that we do that, but then quality people becomes even more important for those roles where they're needed. And the will, the skill, developing, the systems and the abilities within your organization to retain and keep. And then, especially in property restoration, we respond to chaos, right? The call comes at 2 in the morning. It comes, how many times does it come? 4:30 or 5 when everybody's cleaned their truck and ready to go home and looking forward to it, and ring, 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 here comes a call, right? And so we're responding to chaos, and we have to have good attitudes about that and keep in mind that we're helping people that really need it. But our organization does not have to be chaotic, and that's a real point for managers and leaders is eliminating the chaos within so that we can assist with the chaos without. Our organization should not reflect that work that we do, responding to fires, waters, mold, blood, asbestos, remodeling. A lot of companies use an excuse, we're an
emergency response company, so there's chaos, so there's chaos, so there's chaos.
Chaos.
And there's those kinds of things, and it's just not the case. If you have a system, you can respond to chaos and emergencies without being chaotic, and that should be, and that's the chill, right? When our people get to the site, I can remember a conversation I had with a technician. It was much larger loss than they had been used to. It wasn't something they hadn't responded to, but the conversation was they were kind of frozen, analysis paralysis, right? And it's like, remember, this structure may be bigger than the bathroom loss that you did yesterday, but the process is the same. We still need to map where the moisture is. We need to draw a diagram and put a plan together, right? Scan, plan, execute, and document. And so just start somewhere. Let's start at the point of the loss. Let's start in that room, and let's just deal with that room, and then work our way, outward, right? And we can point that out for technicians, but it happens in the office too. Oh, there's all this chaos. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we need to slow down, be intentional about removing the chaos so that we have chill. If you're always in chaos mode, you're just going to burn people out, right? And so we need to have, there's some great stuff coming out of multiple outlets, but Restoration and Remediation Magazine is doing a series on burnout. And that's something that we need to be aware of as organizations. What are we doing to our people if we're not changing the structure to help them be successful? So the will, the skill, and the chill to be successful. How do we want to operate our businesses so that we enjoy working there and we're in alignment with our vision, values, and habits?